Hey y'all, I'm Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher, and I love creating beautiful hand-stitched pieces. Welcome to the Pink Room, where I share my love of cross-stitch by showcasing projects I've completed in my quest to fill an antique cabinet my husband and I inherited from my in-laws.
Hi, welcome back to the Pink Room for Flosstube episode 22. I'm Emily, the Shady Grove Stitcher, and I appreciate you being here with me today. I'm going to talk to you today about 3 different projects. I've got a whip, which is my birthday start. It's a one-color Quaker from Jardin Privé. I have an unexpected finish from the Hometown Holiday series, and then I have a fully finished Brenda Gervais Summer Swan. So I'll go through all of those in detail. I'm going to start with my whip. So my whip is a series by Jardin Privé. It's 4 individual seasons. They can be stitched either together or separate. I am stitching them together on 40 count brick powder from xJuDesign, using ZweigartF baked apple. This is the top left corner of the pattern. I haven't made it terribly far. As it turns out, I'm just not that into it. Like, it's pretty. So I think the last time we talked, I was telling you how nervous I was about this color. I was afraid it was too red, and that somebody had mentioned red samplers, and that sort of helped me reframe. So now that, when I showed it to you last time, I had one line. It was a real killer start. Now that I've stitched more, I feel very good about the color choices. I worked on it the weekend of my birthday and I haven't touched it since. There is nothing wrong with it. I'm still excited about it. I just don't really care about it right now. So it's kind of back burnery. But I wanted to talk about floss a little bit. Now, I'm not a cross stitch expert. I don't know if this is the right thing to do. I'm just telling you what I do in an emergency when I have not ordered enough floss. Okay, so let's go back in time. I audition a bazillion different flosses for this. I choose one. I second guess myself 300 times. I end up taking this fabric and my chosen floss, which was not baked apple, to a store. I laid everything out, and the only floss that I saw that day in the store that I really liked more than what I had previously chosen was baked apple. And so I thought, okay, great. Now the store I was at didn't have a huge inventory, and I have an opportunity to order some things at wholesale cost. So I thought I'm gonna explore my wholesale option first, see if I can save a little extra cash, you know what I'm saying? And go from there. Well, when I got home, I realized that I had already purchased baked apple. When I order wholesale, I have to order 5 skeins of the same color. So I already had 5 skeins of baked apple, and I was like, amazing, I love this for me. But I didn't think 5 skeins was gonna be enough for this project. So I ordered 5 more. I couldn't order them at wholesale cost. It just didn't work out time-wise, which is fine. But I wanted to explain to you kind of what I do. So I think we all know that dye lots can change quite a bit when you're using over-dyed cotton. And I was trying to think, like, how can I evenly mix what I originally bought and then the new stuff that I bought throughout the project so that it blends really beautifully. When I lay the skeins out, they look pretty cohesive. I don't expect huge tonal shifts, but I still wanted to make sure that they were mixed evenly well. So I took all of my floss from my first order and I labeled it A. Then I took all of my floss from my second order and I labeled it B. That way I would know what's the old floss and what's the new floss. Then I took 1 strand from A and 1 strand from B, and I put them in pairs. So 1 strand of floss actually has 6 individual strands in it, right? So now I've got 1 from A, 1 from B, each has 6, so I've got 12 total. And I made little piles. 1 from A, 1 from B, pile 1. 1 from A, 1 from B, pile 2. So when I started the project, I had 6 individual little piles, 1 thread from A, 1 thread from B. That way, every time I was stitching old thread, new thread, old thread, new thread, old thread, new thread. And if it doesn't look right, I can't tell. So I don't know if this is the right way to do things. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of how I'm doing it. It does feel a little neurotic, I'm not gonna lie to you. But anyway, that somebody also sent me a note this week and said, how many skeins of floss did I use in Dasher and Dancer? I know that I calculated 5 skeins. I know I used more than that. I purchased 5 more. I think I might have used 7, but I'm not sure. So when I was working on Dasher and Dancer, as I sort of neared the end, I had a pretty good size panic over whether or not it was all going to blend together nicely or not. So if I had known ahead of time, I mean, I'd have mixed as I went along. Instead, in Dasher and Dancer, I used all 5 at the top and then all the new stuff at the bottom, and it just kind of was what it was. But if you're starting a project and you have old things from your stash, that's just an interesting way, I think it's interesting, I don't know, to mix your 2 flosses together. Now, if you're at home and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, you idiot, no, that is not how you do it, please put it in the comments. Let me know the proper way or how you do it, because y'all mention things all the time that I'm like, dang, that's smart. So that was what I could come up with to do to remedy my I didn't buy all my overdyed floss at the same time pickle. Item number 2, my whip. So last time I was telling you, nope, let's back up even farther. Oh, maybe it was last time. 2 times ago. I talked about my 2026 plans, and the Hometown Holiday Series from Little House Needleworks has 25 different houses in it. I took the first 12 houses, I jumbled them up, put them in a random order, and I assigned 1 house per month to 2026. That was my plan. And then I couldn't stop myself, and I started one. I started, oops, I tried to get all my little patterns ready for you. And now I'm touching the screen and weird things are happening. Nobody prepares you for how to be a good floss tuber. I think I'm failing. This is Town Church. Is it in focus? I hope so. This is Town Church by Little House Needleworks. If it was blurry, I'll put something over it when I put this video together. This is actually chart number 6 in the series. I am stitching it on 40 count raw by Zweigart. It calls for 32 count raw by Zweigart, and they know way I'm going to be doing 2 strands. So I talked to Cheryl at Fat Quarter Shop, and we talked through some different ideas, and I decided to go with 40 count raw, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. I wasn't really planning to start it. I certainly wasn't planning to finish it. It took me about a week and a half. I just couldn't put it down. So this is the called for fabric and called for floss. The only 2 overdyed flosses that are called for are balsam fir for the tree, and then something for the roof. And I didn't have the something for the roof, so I just used the DMC equivalent. But I'm super happy with how it came out. Now, several people have said, Emily, do you know how you're going to finish these? Kind of. I'm going to do, the whole point of this is ornaments. My husband is obsessed with Christmas, and I don't want to say that Christmas is a drag, but like, he kind of wants it to look like Christmas threw up in the house, and there's nothing I'm that enthusiastic about. So I thought if I stitched ornaments that I was obsessed with, that when Christmas got here, I would be really pumped to like get them out and put them on a tree. So now I have ideas of having a tree that's all the hometown holiday ornaments, and I'm excited about it. So I know I want them to be ornaments, and because I'm next level nerdy, I put all of the dimensions for all of the ornaments into a spreadsheet to figure out their average size at 40 count, and they'll be about, if I remember correctly, 3 3/4 by 2 3/4, roughly, give or take. So, you know, this is a pretty good size ornament. I'm only putting it next to my head so that you can kind of get an idea of how big it is. When I hold it close to the camera, I'm not sure that it tells you anything. But anyway, so I know I want it to be an ornament. Do I know what I want that ornament to look like? Nope, sure don't. So I got to figure that out. But part of me kind of felt bad, I guess, that I made this plan for 2026 and that I started early. Because I know several of you have said, oh, I have this series. Oh, I want to start it with you. That sounds like fun. And then I just kind of ran off and left you. Sorry. But I was watching Brenda and the Cereal Starter on YouTube the other day, and Laura, aka the Cereal Starter, was saying, I want to have a this and a that, and I want, like, she was making all these rules, and Brenda said, don't make rules, just stitch what you want when you want. And for whatever reason, that message keeps coming to me. I keep hearing it, so apparently I should pick that up. And I thought, you know, if this is what I want to do, it's what I'm going to do. So maybe in January, I'll have a fully finished item to show you. We will see. Did I tell you all the things I wanted to tell you about that? Yes, I did. Great. Moving right along. My fully finished item is Summer Swan from Brenda Gervais of With Thy Needle and Thread. Let me turn it the proper direction. I stitched it this summer and it's been laying on a shelf doing not a gosh darn thing. And I had a very specific finish in mind. My friend Christy sent me some seam binding ribbon. And what you do is, like, you wet it and then you crumple it all into a ball and then you wrap it in rubber bands and you let it dry. And so it's all crinkled up, and then you take a giant running stitch through the ribbon and you attach it to your finish. And we were incompatible, that solution and I. So let me just show you where we landed, and then I'll explain why, because I still think it's brilliant. Oops, I can't focus. There we go. So this is my little pillow. I knew I wanted it to be a pillow. This is stitched on 40 count Vintage Country Mocha by Zweigart using the called for floss. And this is the back. So my plan was to use this seam binding ribbon around the edge. And the problem for me, and it's 100% user error, the problem for me is it, like, the camera keeps focusing on my head, I'm sorry. It overshadowed the pillow. I was paying more attention to the actual ribbon around the outside edge than I was the pillow design itself. Hang on just a second. I'm gonna go get that binding ribbon so you can see it. Okay, so I want you to put on your little imagination brains, and I want you to picture this desaturated crinkly ribbon on top of this little pillow, okay? Now I'll pull just one strand of it for you. And you have to imagine that you have run a needle through it and you have gathered it and yada yada, right? So it would be denser than what I'm about to show you as I hold this up. So when it is dense, the ruffle is very pronounced and I love it, but it's like the ribbon was too big for the pillow for me and my taste. So I'm gonna hold on to that till another day and time. And I just went with this simple little pillow finish. It's no big deal. This button doesn't do a darn thing. It's just on there to look cute, to tie in the blue. I purchased both of these fabrics in a clearance section. I just bought a fat quarter. I have no idea what they are. And then a friend of mine was selling, Lori Holt makes these like she makes buttons and you can buy a pack and they have like large, medium, and small, and they come in a bunch of colors. Well, I have a friend who was moving and she was downsizing, and she had 2 containers of those buttons and was selling them for super cheap. So I just picked them up because I thought you can always add a button to anything. And did that. Now, I do want to talk to you about finishing pillows. This is stuffed with sawdust, which is controversial because some people don't like it because it's dirty. Okay, now it's dust. Of course it's dirty. I like it because it's very dense feeling. It doesn't poof to me the same way that polyfill poofs. And it's not as heavy as like poly pellets, okay? So, I told this story on Instagram stories. I guess I'll tell you guys too. I had a traditional kitchen funnel. If you're trying to put sawdust into a pillow, do not use a traditional funnel. It will drive you insane. People laughed at me for this. That's fine. So there's like the top part of the funnel, and then there's what I am calling the hangy downy part of the funnel. The part that you're actually going to insert into the, like the tube part that you insert into the pillow. So it's too little for sawdust to really get through. It clogs up and you have to take a chopstick and you got to like jam it, and it's aggressive, and it's not my thing. So somebody online said, if you get automotive funnel, that they have the hangy downy part is thicker, right? Because you're trying to get a whole quart of oil into your car. You want it to go quicker. Fine. So I go to Walmart, I get the automotive funnel, and this lady says, think about a car, right? You've got to get like down into the engine, right? So the hangy downy part is quite long. I mean, maybe like a foot long. And the lady said, I had my husband cut that off. And I thought, that seems like overkill. Well, color me stupid. She was right. So I take this jumbo funnel, right? And my sawdust and my scooper and all of my toys. And I tell my husband, I'm going out to the man zone. That's what we call his shop. I'm going out to the man zone. And he said, for what? And I said, to do man things. And he was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. But also he was watching football, so he wasn't going to get up and help me. So I was like, I'm free to go out there and make a mess and clean it up, and it'll be fine. So I did that. I went out there. So for my pillow, I used, what's it called? Words are hard. Iron-on interfacing on the back side of the stitch piece. I have no idea what it was, guys. Once upon a time, I thought I was going to make bags. I bought several patterns from Noodlehead. I have several different weights of interfacing. I have no idea what this was. It was just a very lightweight interfacing, and I put it on the back of the stitched piece because even though it's 40 count and I don't expect sawdust to be coming through these tiny ass holes, I didn't want to risk it. So I put the interfacing on the back. I layered these other things together, made a sandwich, sewed all the way around, flipped it inside out, and then I was ready to fill. Okay. I go out to the man zone. I put the jumbo funnel down into my pillow, and now I've got this teeny pillow, right? I'm holding it upside down. I've got this teeny pillow and this huge funnel, and I'm trying to hold it all steady, right? Pillow, funnel, hold, awkward, and scoop the sawdust in. It's a disaster. There's sawdust everywhere. I mean, so then I start thinking, how am I going to cut this thing off? Well, I'm in the man zone where all the tools live, so surely this is the appropriate place to be. And I found we have 2 hand saws. One of them has small teeth, one of them has large teeth. So I took a rubber band, I wrapped it around my funnel, I drew a line to kind of like help guide me, right? I used the saw with the small teeth on it, cut most of the funnel off, the hangy downy part off. Then I used a file. He has a metal file to sort of like smooth the edges. And then I used a fine grit sandpaper to smooth it even further so that I wasn't jamming jagged plastic parts into my pillow. I come inside later and I was like, hey, I used your tools. I made a mess. I cleaned it up. And went into this big elaborate story of everything I did. And his reply was, what saw did you use? out of everything I said, you want to know what saw I use? Like, why does it matter? And I said, the little one. And he was like, or I said, the small one. What small one? I don't know. Did you hear him huff? That's how I felt. So I went through it in detail and asked him if I should have done something different. And he said no. So I felt good about it. Anywho, I filled this, it's deliberately upside down because the hole is up here. This is, if you've never worked with sawdust, and again, I'm not a technical individual, but this is how I do it. I have the hole, I put in the funnel, I put in the sawdust, right? And then I take a chopstick and I sort of like jab it down in there in all the corners. And I just keep jabbing and packing and jabbing and packing. And then sometimes you can like hold it by the top and you can shake it like it's a Polaroid picture, literally. And like you're an impatient child, you just shake, 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 shake. So I did that for a while. And my theory on pillows is some is good, more is better, too much is just enough. So just keep filling, filling, filling. Well, then I had this problem where I needed sawdust in the corners, right? But here's my hole, so what do? Well, I found that you could actually like now I'm gonna put my finger out here, but I could put my finger into the pillow and like shove sawdust up into the corner and then immediately pack more sawdust in behind it. That created a well sort of in the middle of the pillow that I would then fill up. So anyway, I did that and I finished the pillow and I was feeling pretty great about myself. And I came inside and I sewed the bottom up, and to be honest, I did a terrible job. I didn't care because I was going to cover it up with a cute ribbon. So I'm like, thank goodness, a finish where I don't have to be super like precise. It's all going to be fine. And then I decided not to use this. And then I had this glaring hole. It looked like I let a toddler stitch this up. It was embarrassing. Will this focus? Let's see. And now you can't even see. You cannot even see that I stitched it up. So, Emily, what is this magic? Wonderfil Invisafil thread is the magic here. If you are not using it to sew up your finishes, it is a game changer. It is a polyester thread. It is a very strong, I say clear. If you've ever used clear thread in a sewing machine, it's like got a little bit of give to it. It's not like that. It is, I want to say rigid, but like you can't cut a block of cheese with it. It's not super strong like that. I used it for English paper piecing and loved it because my seams always disappeared. And so I don't know why I didn't think of it until yesterday, but I thought, oh, hey, if I get out the Invisafil, then you won't even be able to see it, and you can't, and it's pretty. So Carrie and I were talking about some other things I might do on the edge. And we both had the idea that like some blue rickrack might be really cute. Some small blue rickrack. I'm gonna need to zip into a Michael's the next time I buy one. So, maybe this will get a little extra something on the edge, maybe not. We'll see. So, like I said, just wanted to show you, finally finished this. It's just been sitting on the shelf, staring at me now for a few months. And I thought, it's about time, let's get it wrapped up. That means the only things, I'm looking into the closet at the giant pile of things, and there are things that I just haven't put away because I was lazy, and then there are other things that actually need to be worked on. The things I have in progress right now are only this and Christmas bells from Heartstring Samplery. It still requires me to use green floss and a lot of green floss, and I still have PTSD from Dasher and Dancer and all the green floss that I used then, so I don't feel very driven to pick it up. What I do feel driven to do is start another one of these. And part of me is like, Emily, if you do it now, then you're not going to have anything to do in 2026. Like, I don't have an entire library of things to be stitched. Hello. I am going to go through, I probably should have done it before I started this video, but also I was like, I have a brief window of time. Let's get this video filmed so I can get it edited, so I can get it uploaded. I want to go through some of my other patterns that I have and see if there's anything that was like on the docket-ish that maybe didn't make the 2026 list, but is still high on my to stitch list. And I don't have a copy of it, and I'm sorry I can't show it to you. So Lottie Da did a pattern called And Rudolph. It's just a tall, skinny piece. It's green on beige, and it has all the reindeer names on it. But I want to stitch it in reverse. I want to stitch it in either a light green or cream on a very green background. So I'm going to look through some of my Christmas things and see what I can find there that I might want to do for the holiday. And then that way my plans for 2026 will stay, I don't know. I like to be able to tell you guys, like, this is what I'm doing and this is what my plan is. And I feel like my plans are really fluid right now. Like sometime in the middle of the year when work was insane and I didn't have any plans because I didn't really want to stitch and things were just crazy. That was a little bit different than now, where I feel like there are so many things I want to stitch that I can't decide what to do. Unrelated, we are getting to that time of year where your local high schools and middle schools are having craft sales. My neighbor invited me to go with her to a craft sale, and I was like, hi, I don't mean to be weird, but could I bring my mom? And my mom and I used to go to one all the time. We really loved it, and it stopped being less of people making handmade goods and more of people reselling a bunch of stuff. And we were like, oh, love this. But we went to this one, and over the weekend, I would say there was a pretty fair mix of handmade goods versus things people were selling. And look at her. Is she not adorable? So this is Mrs. Claus. They also had her with a little turquoise bow in her hair. They also had Santa, so you could get Santa and Mrs. Claus. I just went with Mrs. Claus, and I think she's so cute, I can't even stand it. So that's my holiday prep there, Mrs. Claus. Looking around thinking like maybe there's something else I need to tell you, but I don't know what it would be. So we'll just put a pin in it, and I will see you guys next time for episode 23, and who knows what will happen then. I think it should be before Thanksgiving, don't you? If not, have a happy Thanksgiving. Talk to you later. Love you, bye.